correctly. So I believe this, again, this is all unofficial, but I believe that everyone you see, Pedro and Sandbox both are going to World Finals from their points alone, and I believe that makes room for Sam and Mookie as well. So that should be the case. We'll get the official word later.
If Pedro wins a golden ticket, I wonder what happens to his silver ticket.
Oh yeah, who gets this? That's a whole other... I'm not even touching the silver ticket stuff yet, Andy.
Come on, Rich, give us all the answers.
Interesting start here, looking like Mo's going to run Graveyard. That's pretty much what we always see Evo Knight coupled with. And then on the other side of it, looks like Ian's just going to lean into what's working in the meta right now with the Pancake Tower and, of course, that Goblin Machine that you may love or most likely hate.
And
also, for those people that like to geek out about points as much as you do, Rich, you're going to be on that broadcast next Sunday for LCQ, so you'll be able to kind of give a very unofficial, slightly official look at what World Finals picture might look like.
Yeah, I mean, we, from my understanding, we'll have everything but the 12th seed locked up by that point. And here you go, a giant pile of rocks, and I'm very curious to see how this one shapes.
I like that play by Mo. He doesn't just go all out on the left-hand side. He doesn't just go Knight plus. He sees if he can bait out any elixir, and he does. He does a good job baiting out a decent amount of elixir there. And now this Goblin is, or this Golem, this Golem is all of a sudden not very supported. And these cards that Mo has, incredibly high DPS. We talk about the Hut spawning spears, obviously the Berserker, and then, as I was talking about earlier, that Evo Furnace is so strong. And right now you got a great Graveyard counter push coming down the lane.
So here we go, Evo Knight up front, Graveyard comes in, and that Fire Spirit chip is certainly in the lane if you're Ian.
Look at that damage, man. Absolutely insane. And the Fire Spirit's going to jump, and another Fire Spirit's going to jump. Nope, doesn't get on top of the tower, but that was a beautiful play by Mo Light. I mean, all of that, you talk about looking 30 seconds into the future, he creates just enough pressure opposite lane to make sure that Golem push is not supported at all by Ian. And then he takes that Golem down with a great bit of Evo Knight, Evo Furnace, Berserker, so I can get an insane counter push, sends in the Graveyard, we all know the Graveyard is coming, and then a Vine's on top, and he takes over half the tower. And that's why Mo is so dang good at this game.
Sudden Death Overtime on its way, and in a Graveyard, maybe our Barbaro will come in and pull the attention of the Chef. Get a little bit more damage here. And now counter push opportunity for Ian, but decides to pull him up in the corner.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what he has to do if this isn't going to be enough to really pull much elixir out of Mo. And again, Mo has just so many great high DPS cards. I think he's back to Evo Furnace, and there it is. And this is just going to be another dead push, in my opinion.
And 2 small spells, no big spell to try to clear out a path for the big guy.
Beautiful high Evo Knight there to catch the Furnace, looking for the Goblin Hut. Ends up just completely destroying that push. And, you know, this is why we talk a lot about beat-down heavy decks, and especially Golem, not really giving you the opportunity to outplay. And against someone like Mo, it is easier to get outplayed because you just have so little control when something costs that much elixir on the board. I mean, I think Juicy put it in really good words yesterday. The more elixir that a card takes away, the more control that you lose in that moment. And you saw right there, Mo was just fully in the driver's seat that whole time. That's your job as a coach. So I actually really like that you're pointing that out, because I think it really calls attention to something that when you're coaching the best players in the world, you just can't really have that much overlap, because someone is going to be left wanting, and that's going to start to affect your relationships.
So Mortar and Barrel to open things up.
Skeleton Mo's just going to go to Miter Control, man. And honestly, in this matchup, that's a lot of trouble for Ian. You know, we talk about the ability to create offense with that deck that Ian's running, which is probably just, you know, Skeleton Barrel, Mortar, and something like Skeleton King. And, you know, the amount of control that Mo Light's going to have over this matchup. Maybe the minions can kind of change the conversation a little bit, but that Evo Tesla is going to be a decent equalizer. But you can see right there, Mo is already on top of the fact that he can't give much damage in this match, and he wasn't happy about that one minion hit.
Skeleton Barrel sets up in the corner as we let the first minute tick away. And just a difference in tone, by the way, with Mohamed Light. You know, it's funny, Ian's a well-known content creator, and he plays in bed with no eye on the aesthetics whatsoever, as Mohamed Light is in the classic golden chair.
Yeah, I know. It's funny because it's become one of those things. That's going to be at least one mortar shot. There we go. The Evo Eye Spirit helps mitigate the second mortar shot. Play where you're the best, you know. And if Ian, that's what he wants to do. That's what Igor wants to do. I think we saw Mini Minter do that back in the day too, when he played on his bed. And you know what? If you have the ability to play from the comfort of your home, might as well play the spot where you're the best, other than bathroom. You don't want to see any of that.
Yeah. We all also did famously have a lot of players who, when we were still in studio for regular season CRL, who did everything they could to try to not have to play standing up at the podium. Good Ice Spirit to catch the Mortar.
Yeah, really nice back and forth there. I think the one thing that's really great about this matchup for Mo, and obviously controlling Evo Mortars is always a bit frustrating, but I was going to say the conversation earlier about the minions was something that might be effective, but that's going to be Evo Mortar shot as that Tesla went underground just a moment ago. Should get a second shot actually as well. The Royal Delivery is going to really help against those minions.
Rips off the shield plus, and that was a really nice light out of Ian.
Yeah, I was going to say, I really like the aggression out of Ian right now. I think he's recognizing the less control that Mo has. How do you do that? Or the less control, the better. And how do you do that is you just create a lot of offense. He's being really, really aggressive here. And this is the most popular border deck out in the game right now. I was looking on the leaderboard for a minute, and the ability to have that double spell somehow creates a lot of space between taking care of buildings. You know, this deck doesn't match up well against Hoggy Q, but the double spell helps with the building and with the firecrackers. So I'm actually happy to see this deck as it has been on top of, you know, the ranked leaderboard for a minute.
1471 to 1395 into sudden death overtime. Margins are thin in this business.
Yeah, you know Mo has that rocket though, so that's definitely something Ian is thinking about. I like that lightning.
And the lightning really has been an MVP for Ian so far.
Yeah, I mean, it really is, I think, the most effective spell in the game right now when you talk about matchups and the things that are super popular with the Furnace and the ability to stop things at the bridge, even with that Goblin Giant Machine deck, you know, because that also usually has the Furnace in it. Nice rocket there. That's a beautiful rocket. And then a perfect Evo Tesla.
You have to avoid the extra shot here. And Ian putting some good pressure on. This is dangerous for Mohamed.
Yeah, and he misses the timing, so Skellies are definitely going to populate the map there.
Yeah.
I can tell.
Wow.
I heard it. Very good job there by Ian.
I think about the spells that Ian used. Still has a lot available in terms of direct damage spells. Fireball and Poison, both still available for sure.
I just really want to see Ian go to something that he can outplay with again, right? That's what we saw in Game 1 and 2, and how drastically different those situations were. You know, it felt like Mo had himself in at least a decent matchup in Game number 2, but Ian had the outplay ability there, and then in Game number 1 was the exact opposite story, you know? So I want to see him put himself in a situation where it looks like maybe with RG that he can control and, you know, give himself a chance instead of just hoping that things go well, like dropping a big pile of rocks on the board.
And Monk ability no longer there. Ghost comes out, and then to 0 for Ian for the RG. Maybe anticipating that he's going to get a few shots out of this, but the Ghost will also do some work too.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really nice play by Ian. You know, he recognizes the two biggest problems that he has to deal with in the Evo Mega Knight and the E-Wiz are not in cycle for Mo. So you can see he gets a ton of damage, little look into the camera there, and now a pile up at the river here, just trying to steal some more from Mohamed Light, and I really, really like that play. You can see Mo's deck is pretty heavy, so he's going to have to really throw his cycle out of whack if he wants to defend against those 2 Elixir Goblins, and that's just a great situation, again, by Ian, where he's creating pressure and giving himself outplayability.
Drill going to go ahead and get plenty of damage, but a big margin to make up for the 2-time.
And the fireball's there for this. Yeah, you look at Mo, he's like, what the heck, man? Did you see what I made? Are you stream sniping me? How do you have every answer right now? The other part of this is that Spirit Empress in the sky behind anything like the Monk or the RG is going to be really annoying for Mo to deal with. She's got such great range, and there's just not a lot of air targeting TPS here for Mo. He doesn't have the vines to bring it down to the ground.
Snowball has to come out against the Goblins on that right-hand side, and Magic Archer wants the connection, gets 1, gets 2.
Wow.
Snowball not enough to disrupt that in a meaningful way. I mean, the log.
740, 1590. Anything can still happen in this game. Just a second late on that Golden Knight was so light.
Magic Archer kind of sitting there in the middle as a target, just a defensive NATO to reset. And doesn't get the Monk reflection there.
Yeah, that's actually a really great NATO by Mo, but not great placement on the E-Wiz. Going to have to use that Evo Snowball as he gets a lot of fireball value there. I would have loved to see the E-Wiz at a different spot, but you kind of understand what he was going for.
And that defensive drill was necessary, but probably not enough here. RG should get 1, and it does. And that's probably going to be enough to lock this thing up for Ian.
Wow, and this is huge for Ian, being able to take Mo out in the lower bracket run. I mean, that's the big thing that we haven't seen is the Evo Mega Knight against the RG. We needed to see that more in this matchup, but now Ian knows he's got the double fireball. Mohamed Light is set packing here on our last monthly final.
And he already has his ticket punch to World Finals, already has the first seed locked up, but that will be the end of Mohamed's journey today. And that might be sufficient to lock in second place for Ian.